doctor who pleaded guilty to selling ketamine to Matthew Perry in the weeks before the actor's overdose death has just been sentenced. Let's go right to CBS News correspondent Carter Evans.
On October 28, 2023, Matthew Perry was found face down in the hot tub of his Los Angeles home. He was 54 years old. The cause of death was ketamine overdose. And what the investigation that followed revealed was not a solitary tragedy. It was a criminal network. 5 people, 2 licensed doctors, a personal assistant, a drug broker, and a woman who called herself the Ketamine Queen. On April 8, 2026, the last of those 5 to be sentenced walked into a federal courtroom in Los Angeles. Jasmine Sanga, 42 years old, North Hollywood. She received 15 years in federal prison. This is the story of how that case was built, what happened in court, who the defendants were, what they admitted to, and whether the sentences handed down reflect what actually took place. To understand the criminal case, the events of October 2023 need to be understood in full. Matthew Perry had struggled with addiction for most of his adult life. He was open about it. His memoir, published just weeks before his death, detailed decades of battles with alcohol and opioids. By the final months of his life, he had developed a significant dependence on ketamine. The drug had originally been prescribed to him legally for the treatment of depression and anxiety, but the amounts his licensed providers would supply were no longer enough. In September 2023, Perry was introduced to Dr. Salvador Placentia through his live-in personal assistant, Kenneth Iwamasa. Placentia contacted another doctor, Mark Chavez, who had previously operated a ketamine clinic, to obtain ketamine to sell to Perry. In text messages to Chavez, Placentia discussed how much to charge Perry, stating, "I wonder how much this moron will pay." And let's find out. Those text messages became central exhibits in the federal prosecution. They established something critical. The doctors did not see a patient. They saw a revenue source. During September and October 2023, Placentia distributed ketamine to Perry and Iwamasa outside the usual course of professional practice, and without a legitimate medical purpose on at least 7 occasions. He taught Iwamasa how to inject Perry with ketamine. He sold ketamine to Iwamasa for self-administration. He left vials with Iwamasa. Meanwhile, Iwamasa was also sourcing ketamine from a second network entirely. That second network led directly to Jasmine Sanga. And what prosecutors uncovered about her operation was extensive. For years, Sanga operated a high-volume drug trafficking business out of her North Hollywood residence. She marketed herself as an exclusive dealer who catered to high-profile Hollywood clientele. On her social media profiles, Sanga cultivated an image as a curator of art and a frequent traveler between London and Los Angeles. In the months following Perry's death, she documented travels to Japan and Mexico, posting photos of herself enjoying luxury amenities. The contrast between that public image and the federal charges against her was stark. Prosecutors alleged that from June 2019 onwards, Sanga used her home to store, package, and distribute ketamine and methamphetamine. She was not a small-time dealer. She ran what the Department of Justice described as an extensive trafficking operation. The connection to Perry ran through a middleman. Eric Fleming acted as a broker between Sanga and Iwamasa. In October 2023, Sanga and Fleming sold Perry 51 vials of ketamine. Those vials were provided to Iwamasa. Leading up to Perry's death, Iwamasa repeatedly injected Perry with the ketamine that Sanga had supplied to Fleming. On October 28, 2023, the day Perry died, Iwamasa injected Perry with at least 3 shots of Sanga's ketamine. Those injections caused Perry's death. 51 vials. 3 injections. A man who had spent decades fighting addiction, surrounded by people who were profiting from supplying it. The federal investigation that followed involved the Los Angeles Police Department, the Drug Enforcement Administration, and the United States Postal Inspection Service. 5 defendants were ultimately charged. All 5 pleaded guilty. The guilty pleas came in stages. Kenneth Iwamasa, Perry's personal assistant, pleaded guilty in August 2024 to 1 count of conspiracy to distribute ketamine causing death. He admitted to injecting Perry repeatedly, including on the day he died. He faces sentencing on April 22, 2026, with a statutory maximum of 15 years. Eric Fleming, the middleman who coordinated the sales between Sanga and Iwamasa, pleaded guilty in August 2024. He faces sentencing on April 29, 2026, with a maximum of 25 years. Dr. Mark Chavez, the physician who supplied ketamine, including by submitting a fraudulent prescription in the name of a former patient, without that patient's knowledge, pleaded guilty in October 2024. He was sentenced to 3 years of probation, 8 months of home confinement, and 300 hours of community service. He surrendered his medical license. Dr. Salvador Placentia pleaded guilty in July 2025 to 4 counts of distribution of ketamine. He was sentenced to 30 months in prison in December 2025. And then came Sanga. In August 2025, Sanga agreed to plead guilty to 5 federal charges. These included 1 count of maintaining a drug-involved premises, 3 counts of distribution of ketamine, and 1 count of distribution of ketamine resulting in death or serious bodily injury. Her plea agreement also contained the detail that prosecutors emphasized heavily at sentencing. Sanga admitted to selling 4 vials of ketamine to a man named Cody McClory in 2019. McClory died from an overdose hours later. He had no connection to Matthew Perry whatsoever. Perry was not the first person to die from Sanga's supply. He was also not the only one. The sentencing hearing on April 8, 2026, took place at the federal courthouse in Los Angeles. Before District Judge Sherilyn Peace Garnett, Matthew Perry's mother, Suzanne Morrison, attended the hearing with her husband, journalist Keith Morrison. The defense argued for a reduced sentence. Sanga's legal team cited her lack of prior criminal history and her conduct while in custody following her 2024 indictment. They argued that the time she had already served should be considered sufficient.